Herbo Dolo Domare Chibe Jai Nobare Chibe Ge Tarva Don Tam Chin Chembe Vatu Jubara Chiba Tam Chi Jesu Chibe Mai Namka Don Yambe Simjan Tam Chi Deva Don Den Dungar Don Chi Yorte Lana Mibara Yang Tabara Zobe Chanjo Rinpo Che Tobara Chai Dalai Damara Chibe Jai Dobara Chibe Ge Tarva Tam Tam Chi Chimbe Vardu Jubara Chiba Tam Chi Jesu Chibe Ma Namka Dan Nyambe Simchen Tamje Dewa Dan Den Dungara Dan Chi Yorte Lana Mibara Yang Tabara Zobe Chancho Rinpoche Toba Cha. English, Elizabeth.
All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment.
Ye che de sam ma je je fa tu lu nga yi son ge wa la e ko ro ma xie fa tu lu nga yi son ge wa la ko ro tu te re ne son de ni ma son ta sam je fa tu lu nga yi son ge wa la e ko.
For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue.
Sanje chodan soje chonan lai chancho vartu dane jabzun che dake jinso jinbe zonan che rola penche sanje drupara sho sanje chodan soje chonan lai chancho vartu dane jabzun che dake jinso jinbe zonan che rola penche sanje drupara sho.
Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings.
Ma nam ka dan nyambe simchen tamje deva dan deve jutan dembara chur je. Dungara dan dungar ge jutan chebara chur je. Dungara mebe deva meje bara chur je. Nyeren chadan nidan chebe. Danyon la ne bara chur je. Ma nam ka dan nyambe simchen tamje deva dan Devi Jutan Dembara Chur Je Dungara Tan Dungar Ke Jutan Chebara Chur Je Dungara Mibe Deva Tan Meje Bara Chur Je Nyeren Chaban Nidan Cheb Tanyum La Nebara Chur Je.
May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness in the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering in the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Dorje Chanse Obatan Chujin Yabatan Jesu Yiran Kushin Surva Gewa Jungse Dake Jizaba Tamji Zobe Chanchu Chengo.
Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offering, confession, rejoicing, requesting, and praying, I dedicate it for the complete awakening of all beings.
Dorje Chanchen Dele Narodan Marba Melta Chuje Gambu Ba Pama Chuba Java Trigo Kaju Lama Namla Surva De Zeli Jabu Sachun Lama Le Chancho Semje Duse Men Rowa Guna Pemba Ziba Ye Bande Ade Shala Surva De Dajang Tene Chancho Mato Juba Renchen Zomje Nyamlen Tu Shune Chancho Semcho Jongwa 长秋三界仙东七八的学，结瓦滚的杨大喇嘛，对面出也别了农就见，撒当南界用的拉多呢，都见长开光棒牛车说。
And Great Vajradhara, Tilupa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma Lord Gampopa, Pagmadrupa, and Lord Drikungpa, I pray to all the Kagyu Lamas. From his guru, King Sterlingpa, he received the nectar medicine of bodhicitta and brought benefit to all sentient beings. I pray to glorious Satisha. From now until I attain enlightenment, may I also practice the three precious lineages, and through this may I perfect sublime bodhicitta and bring benefit to others with my bodhicitta. In all my lives, may I never be separated from the perfect Guru. May I enjoy the glory of the Dharma, perfect the qualities of the bhumis and paths, and quickly attain the state of Vajradhara.
Okay. 他们给土地所在从创建现买到土地公用这我的这边小嘴就是小了抢车咯。我现在这可多要不
Hola, so.
可多，
Kodo, tengah kana tukso. Betul.
但是看整体确实求救设定了啥，确实求救设定。写了东巴的，写了东巴的了，老嘛讲已经可以让的没确实，已经可以让确实意思了多。这是一件吧。
Okay.
我真的他这趟让出他的这个吧他你们去的这趟然后这他的写了你可以从听的这个的从他的写了你有我这他几个给上接触嘛的写了这个的是我这他这他讲你的强求什么说公样的我是说有了这写了东半年的公样这个的是我真的看的是呢然后他几个给他别讲的是他都基本上这些东半年呢就图嘛的也是我知道了吧我真的也他这东半年了基金库里来了么的是我在写了东半年多嘛讲了你们开始呢也这上级错图嘛也是库里了出个的是全都个是真的他等这边写了他等这边写了这边他讲刚才听完也是我他比你给娘图过的是嘛他不是写了这个呢上级图嘛也是我这听你讲过的是你可帮我们解释我你可以帮就嘛的是就基本上的小这种的是我特别你不一样嘛这个是过的是
We are in the 10 ways to go astray. And verse number 7, it says, when you don't train your mind in emptiness, the wisdom aspect, whatever you do can stray into the ways of samsara. So what this verse means is that we need to unify method and wisdom in our practice. We cannot attain enlightenment only through the method. And method here means bodhicitta, love and compassion. We also need wisdom, and wisdom means to understand emptiness, to practice meditate and in a state of emptiness, because the ultimate grasping can only be overcome through understanding emptiness. So if we don't train the mind in the wisdom that realizes emptiness, whatever other practice we may do will not lead to enlightenment and will actually cause us to stray onto samsaric paths. So we need both method and wisdom. If we only have wisdom too, we cannot attain enlightenment. We cannot attain enlightenment without method, without compassion, and only with wisdom. So Lord Atisha had said we must not give up both method and wisdom. So.
我真的大起码那么点事情那种我的是强说毛堂给没给些是强说没把没你发现的吃就没事我他强把的人家是有吧我这说没把马来把当给他抢个马来是我这没把马来把没把这那当时差不多是把没把说过呢挺给他抢的是过去了你把现在吃就没你把早晚就出个马来是的没事 东尼达唐天给是东尼达瓦唐天给的个是天的公巴他们他东人是吧的公巴他们他前面的强说身体公了所以我的东尼达瓦样他们多少呀我他说的是我天的真的东尼达这个不是东尼达这个东巴你真的东巴你公那的错特别的是我真的我说解释了个那我真的写了名了，拍着清了，做被抢救错吧，没那回事，他当电影不算没错吧？我这写了光把解释了那意思有啊，我这那意思的吧他。
In a text called Pramana Vartika, it says that we need a method and wisdom, but with only if we only have method, if we only have love, loving kindness, and compassion, that alone is not enough to overcome the most subtle form of self-grasping. So that alone cannot cut through the root of all fixation, of all grasping. To truly overcome all grasping, we need the view of emptiness. So it says in the text that only if we have that view, the authentic view that realizes emptiness, can we become liberated. So only through meditation on emptiness can we become liberated. And it is also said in the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says that the enlightenment cannot be reached even if you have the other 5 perfections. If you do not have the perfection of wisdom, you cannot reach enlightenment. So.
真的他这里嘛，送他结巴这里，几天求经过嘛，我们那几天说是我咱几天求经有了，多没见都把当没吧，几天前把你他们意思，现在那种人几天前把你他你把他们你吧，几天前把你他们你他，对他们的，还得对他们的，几天前把你他们的对他们的，然后他对他们的。我听听那些对吧？有那个给他们的，有那个嘛，听基本千把你他们的，这里多米多他们有了多米多把的没吧？我真的多把的没吧？这多把没吧？我这次那说那几天出去有了样子，我那几天出去不在，我们他们那真的我们的用过的是，怎么说这个的？接近Quebec讲确实是吧？但几天出去天对对，每年的 top 可是，他没些就是修正一上这就去过去了些天对，对样差别两年是在那来出嘛的意思。我天对，他就是没来的别种有的，那么我对长松切路呢，几天吃完帮切意思，我对长松切路说几天吃完帮切的意思，几天吃完帮切，他才吃松嘴巴呢，吃下去的嘛，他在吃松原因是嘴巴都是吃下去的那种马上意思。我从多这样对真的，我这是几天秋季，我这么来的别去，
Maar dit kunnen we leren. Wat gaan we die aan het is dat niet zo lang.
我就长松切路有了，长松切路，现在咱几天吃吧。
啊，长松对，
长松切几期的呢？长松是上街了，快学啥的，大家这样对长松吃说了，几天吃吧，帮切这事，几天吃吧，帮下去的，他就啥不就这样子去学这事。我特地在村上最怕，在这村上年最怕一次年都下压忙，都不什么都会死他，是吧？我这种多，我真的，那几天没来这边去了看的意思的几天，几天秋季弄了，我都看见就秋季一种了没来这边，秋季弄拍过呢，我真的对看见就要秋天是，我这种了吧。我特别强调3个人出金巴的是当我的金巴是当我对方在提前每年他在过去的，他是在金巴当医生的，他出来在每年在这么的，我们在过去的，他别强硬，我听到我这场是对吧？他可以呢，他说金巴抽可以呢，然后出现送那个出现送都在进步营这么的，然后在挖掘两个在过去，所以上面就跟去抢了的。我才说吧，我们在看中国长时间，这边没事，你说吧，光在说别你们那些活动多起去了。 我这说这
Mhm.
냠내 소소 셈도 냠내 치고 그래서 또 막고 방금이야 안정这我这个安정这有了这个有了这嘛的是我这人对这我这个那走路呢当然走路休息当냠내休息没事做多回去我这挺流强的回是我这种过年过的也是我那这养他把套嘛但是每年大是差不多每年大是这个的这点个吧他头嘛的也总是吧
Mhm. Then we come to the next verse, number 8. When you don't equalize the 8 worldly concerns, whatever you do can stray into embellishing worldly life. So those 8 worldly concerns, so straying in the 8 worldly concerns is to have and hopes for gain and fears of loss, or hope to experience happiness or pleasure, and a fear of pain, and a hope for being praised, and a fear of being blamed, and a hope of fame or reputation, and a fear of being disgraced. So that is explained in the letter to a friend. So whenever we fall into any such hopes or fears, it says we of like and dislike, of preference, want this, don't want that. Now we've already gone astray into the 8 worldly concerns. And that is what we need to overcome. And that also actually often happens in our practice, and we don't really notice it. So, for example, we have this a strong urge, a wish to do really well in the practice, and to maybe even to have a good reputation for our practice. But then by doing that, we're actually never truly practicing. And Milarepa says that um, even like rishis and also like renunciates who give up worldly life, they engage in all sorts of hardships and austerities, believing that they have attained some state of liberation, but actually they have not let go of those 8 concerns in their mind, and often even though maybe they seem to avoid worldly ways and wear robes and be ordained, but still they cling to their reputation and various things. And often that leads to even more activities, although they're supposed to have given up all worldly activities. And also, Milarepa was once asked, what is your religion or your Dharma? And Milarepa said, my religion is casting the 8 worldly concerns into the wind, completely giving them up. So, for example, what he means is that we may look like we are practicing the Dharma, like any of the 6 paramitas. For example, somebody practices generosity, but they have this secret hope to get some praise or a good reputation from doing that. Or even someone keeping their vows, being very disciplined. They may also do that to build this reputation, and they remain stuck in those 8 worldly concerns, or even being patient. Now, somebody may say, "Well, they treated me so hardly. I've been through all these hardships, but I'm so patient, and I endured it all." So one kind of puts on this face of being this facade of being so patient, more patient than others. So that's all the 8 worldly concerns. And the point is that the practice is not for display. The practice is to tame your own mind, not to impress anyone. Or of the 6 paramitas, also some people, they show a really great diligence in their practice, but that also can lead to a feeling very full about it, thinking I practice so hard, look at me. So that's something, as all of these things is something we need to overcome, because otherwise we will not we if we go after fame and name and accomplishment and so on, then we continue to wander in samsara without liberation. So
我真的，我等几天钟他中多可是呢，几天去几步特别强的，他让没个去，他写有了吧，我让没个去是我特别没把当那个嘛的，满天把可能个嘛的，我这时候他这张写有了，这些我这写当的是，我真的啊这多把钱的个的，年把穷的个的，我真的这时候超把穷的个，我这时候的，这时候的多差的是。或者听你不我嘛些或者在某的时候，你看手机不是用我图什么的有嘛的送多，用我图什么的有嘛是的听就的我不知道弄什么，这可是多下些张在某种提起来的没给意思，我这种不提起上的没给意思，我的意思，我听的听就恰的有的种多几天种的他获取性质吧，说听上是种多。
不出去这边来。So yeah. So Jiten Sumgön said in a commentary on the 4 dharmas of Gampopa, he said that so there's those 4 these 4 things that we dislike of those 8 worldly dharmas. So we don't want to experience loss or pain or blame or bad reputation. And Chicken Sumgen said that this is essentially all these things that we don't want, it essentially is aversion, is anger. And then those things that we want, like we wanting praise and wanting a good reputation and so on, all of that is nothing but attachment. And then not recognizing these 2, that is ignorance. And Nagarjuna said that these 3, anything you do with these 3, attachment, aversion, and ignorance, is the basis of non-virtue.
真的他挺久的气象，这些冲白节我听就忙那没那我送出去是啥？他这冲把这做单元嘛，他不会那冲三不着，他真冲把嘛不有了，他这哪不学三做我这里，我在这几盘中的挺常用的，真的我在冲白节我是这把明白气息的，真的，你们俩去下去，其他去没错，这没就我重要，在冲枪这样中的这学话小南去样的，他这有的我看到说这没这种人中这样中这没种。我听着去当推的推出什么这样着，我那他自己过的样着，他这咱们不见多，我这说去话强来东呀，他这重就这些，他去学就这么多些呀，我这说自己是的率，我听着这样，但我说是的那推出多少个的是。
We go to the next verse, verse number 9. When you receive a great deal of respect for townspeople, you can stray into ingratiating yourself with the public. That is so when so it's talking about these people that go around in the village, these townspeople. So if you have faith in these townspeople, so with townspeople, this is kind of an old Tibetan term, and it refers to those who now there's those monks and so on, like they go around in towns to do rituals in different places, different families' homes, or they do divinations, or they do astrology, and all kinds of like rituals and ceremonies that they do going around in town. And then by doing that, essentially they time just passes, and it just it's essentially a waste of time.
真的，这里真的，他就当是，他前期忙不在呢，他用在推出多少时候，前期忙不在，他两个人呢，他没事做，他两个人啊在那没事做，两两的做，在家扎死，但这里做起头就没来在一起。但呢，但听着其实的呢，在某个那种听着就去的呢，在说做车做的时候，这现在说的，但是求商家呢就没车谁什么来的票吧，在成长最强的时候，求商家呢就没车谁一种的吧，我听着那种强的求才吧。
So essentially all of these activities, our time just runs out, just passes by, and we end up never really practicing in our life, not really doing much practice in our life, just going here and there and mixing with a lot of people, and by doing all kinds of things, our life just passes by, and then in the end we die. And Milarepa had also said that so that the Dharma doesn't when one doesn't not practicing the Dharma, one's life just passes by. It just exhausts itself.
전에 예수 말라를 죄송도 같은 저 화시 총에 이제 치료 살아. 내가 화시 총동이 스미카를 냐면 스미카를 냐 힘이 있어. 어떻게 화시 총이 더 나요 말에 정도.
So one time Milarepa was asked by someone, so do you face any obstacles in your practice? And Milarepa said, I don't have any obstacles because I don't listen to anyone. I don't listen to what other people say. So if I don't listen to what anyone says, then there is no reason for any obstacles.
이게 막에 담주는 담주는 티나 할란도선 냠래치냐 내조 냠래치냐 니요를 참바로 니요서로 샤테 두니 요레스 두니 복다 냠래치냐 레레가 니 뭐 같이 당고 시코니 부초도 시리스 다 두제티 참보 당에 냠래치냐 제 마스 이효스 고다 단냠래치야 메지 차인 슬라레스 두제키 디칼라선 예티지나 페토요 마스코 자세로와 냠래치 top dit pas toujours dans tes nemle dans sources ta kharshi go sana ko mase tele nemle chi ma top les ba yang yin na mase zo ndo yo les ji kan chu ji ze na mase zo ndo so go de de ten du da ze cha ndo yo les de ko mai ni da ze cha ya ze ten du sha ze de yang yin na tu zo ndo ya ten du so sa la ze ti
Erika chukla kare chungsu
de samba je de ze da ze be cha da nemle ya ko chi ma top ji ze chong zhuang da de ngo ye mo de ya dong ten du chi xin na tu so zo ndo ya o chi de 차서다로 이렇게 주지. 뭐다때 같이 체크해 줘서라서.
It's a story from Tibet. It's about two retreatants, and so there were two people doing retreat, and then there were two demons, and each wanted to harm one of the retreatants. So each one kind of was in charge of harming one of them. And so they kind of discussed how are we going to harm them the best. And so one demon said that I will just kill my victim, because if I kill him, then he can't practice. But then the other demon said that no, there's no point in killing it. If you kill him, then he will die while doing practice. So there is a benefit in that. That's not the ultimate obstacle. It's better to let him live, but block his practice and let his time just pass by without doing any practice, make him waste time, go to villages, do divinations and so on, let him chase all these distractions, and then his life will just pass by without having done any progress. That's the ultimate obstacle. And so that's essentially what then happened. So one of them died, and then the other one just spent all his life just doing divinations and going to different people's homes and doing rituals and so on. And that's really that became the biggest obstacle. So the point is that the one of the demons said that the best obstacle is not to obstruct their practice.
我真的挺久的，几块人噻，就把这原天上女就去了，我没天呢，没拿重脚看着，确实是他几块人的，我原天我过去，我不用了过去，但女块地说过去，我等不明，这重脚就那去出嘛的是。但这里毛不有人，我说后来有在浪漫的这里，但这有人重脚了，在工作对女块我讲屁股，这有要的，对女块，这有呢，这第三女块的有啥的，可能那他娘们去了起头嘛，你嘛娘们第四个这个我自己，但娘们去了起头嘛，这工作，这养鱼那这么这边么啥那推广都是的，但这就真着说那边女块钱不多，他们这样我说够的，是嘛，他们大些都用成的多个些，好的。没但这样的我在老板今年有了哈， 这是苍茫我上通就来高个里头嘛，他们大西就有人着，那么那个用多下，那真有点这去啊，那咱才有的。啊，看见那咱有天要不，那在看见吧，你们来讲没把起，我这才有钱，那这样在推出广州说的也是。我这些长久看样的确实很多嘛，他这些长波的要不运动多起，经常全这个可惜进不起，我真全这个也是，我真是的。
Then we move to verse number 10, and that verse is actually quite similar than the previous one. So when your knowledge and powers are significant, but your mind is unstable, you can stray into becoming a performer of rituals for townspeople. So that's quite similar. So somebody may have certain qualities to do certain rituals, for example, but then their mind is not truly steadfast because they lack consistent practice, and so they go around and do a lot of ritual practices or divinations and so on for people, but they lack a real training of the mind, and that also happens quite a bit in Tibet. And some of these people do have some power, but it's also that the problem is that they don't really sustain their practice. They don't continue their practice, or they may have had some qualities, but then they go around just doing rituals and divinations and exorcisms and so on, and they say that they can see the demons directly and chase them away. And maybe they did practice in the past and they have these powers, but now they're essentially just talking about the practice. And they may have some residual power, but they do not have a current steady practice. So Milarepa, he also said there's those geishas, those teachers who pretend to be great practitioners, but then the real Dharma practice really essentially just goes downhill.
我真的你忙个这种的有，你忙个做配的，他们见面见多，他不比了，他不比了。我去给么子都我同样，我做配只能怕叫的的去怕装的是，第去话见多还给碰的谁，给不这第主要从这有啥的啊？晓得，可这给么子，因为他这配的我做能把他来上他怕的，晓得给么子这个东西东提前给不可能很多，可跟什么东西多。 晓得这空间里嘛，这那时候怕抢救我怕什么啥的，抢救我但找不进吧，怕被冲塞不了。我这就啊，怕那时候抢我去了，是啥家抢我，我下头抢我，怕冲塞不了，他这没找不进吧，没写到要嘛这就，我见到我去了，这就空间他怕什么啥的吧。 那什么的，我做能把可些的父母拿着嘛，桥上可些有的着就嘛，他拿跑了，他要不叫他买哇。父母没上拿着就买着没用呢。哦，这种的事情可些多啊。这基本上这从把这拿西兰着出去没办的，着咱着就是基本上没那么这个到底挺不啥的吧？可没那要不写学啥的吧？没那么写学哦。晓得可。 엄마랑 시켜서 그거 다 별로 와 총받도 나로 쳐고 와 대구사디 노야 참아 고하고 그러와 대인 동도 다 뭐만 총받는 노바 자라들이 도도 나표사라 뭐나 대고 봐 총받는로 대 총받可以拿자라 대 바겐다 들으나 나저 조조 요 총통요지 야 고소셔 구마요 로라 그러 구마야 야 그거 봐 소셔 구마 침보도 와像重赛送来都快拿送了吧，谢学姐，主要来不那做配，让这亚过吧，说下真这路上这进步很多啊，我真正那个加拉路下头苦，但你那那些都蛮多，加拉什么路，真的确实说，我那些国家就谢学嘛，只蛮过过的了，大姐妹的么啷个谁比是谢学啥了个，这你妈这个的烂巴表这妈过他怕说啥了你妈这。 오늘 하봐 알아? 그래서 막 이게 아트 꼭 시켜서 말아. 이때 그 팀만 있었으니 맞지? 아니, 가져서. 싫어 시켜서 대신에 맛있어. 근데 그 정말 요 말로 진짜 잘라 참아로 언더라도 뭐 참여해고 다 되는 것이 쉬운도 꽤 라베도 저 되는 거 같고
Mm,
고자지 책 말로 하잖아.
mm,
아,
mm. And so there's this a story, a personal story that Drupal from his homeland, and so that's in the Nakchu area where Drupal is from. So there was this woman, this older woman who kind of was kind of was telling like divinations by kind of inviting the deities, kind of like an oracle sort of practice where you just invite the deity in to kind of become, yeah, you become a little in a way possessed by the deity, so you're kind of in a trance state. And so she had, they said that she had this ability to be this oracle, and actually Drupal said he saw that woman before too. And this woman also had an elderly husband, and they were going around together. And in fact, the husband was quite of an odd person, and she herself also was a bit unusual. And so, anyways, they traveled also to his area, Drupan's area, and did some rituals and like mantras to invoke the deity. And she was the main oracle. But then the husband, he, because I was being with her, he also knew all the recitations and not the rituals and the mantras. But he was not really the clairvoyant one. And the woman also was actually known for knowing the meaning of people's dreams and giving like predictions based on that. And but then so there is this kind of strange custom. It's a very rural area in the north of Nakcho, where Drupal is from. So it's very a rural village kind of people, and they have some strange views. For example, when you have people come to do rituals in your home, it's mostly men and not women. So in many homes, they don't even allow a woman to enter their home. They wouldn't allow the woman to go there and do anything for them. They will only have men. And so then it happened in that particular area that the one who with the real powers, she couldn't go there, but her husband could because he's a man. And he also knew all of those ritual recitations. And so then before he went to one of those homes, then she would tell him all about her dreams, and then just asked him to interpret and relate to the people there. And there might have been some truth in there, but certainly he didn't really know anything actually. But then he kind of put on a show of having this real clairvoyant powers. For example, they had this huge leather bags that are made out of yak skin, big kind of bags. And so in there, there's all kinds of things in there. It's huge, and so then he would say that in there there is some harmful influence. There's some kind of negativity in there, and you have to find that thing. You have to get rid of it, and then they would turn the whole bag upside down and empty the whole bag and find all these objects in there, and actually, so he did not actually know what he was doing at all. He just
그런
told
데면
that,
바꿔가면 그런 데도 시금
yeah. Uh,
그런 데도 시금 말하다 그 제면 되게 뭐람 다디 다 생겼는 도지 다 그래.
so he didn't know anything. She had the dream, right, as I said before, and she would tell him, and he would go and interpret it. But for example, in a way of no, empty this bag because there is some harmful influence in that bag, and people would be really impressed with him and said he's so amazing. He has this clairvoyant power, and he's so right. Actually, he really had no clue what he was doing. And so one time, actually, because he didn't really know what he was doing, but he didn't know all the recitation. So one time, he actually successfully entered this oracle trance, and so the deity actually came and possessed him. So that happened through his recitations, but because he didn't really know what he was doing, he couldn't have the deity depart again. So that's part of the ritual, is knowing how to have that deity, that god, leave you again. But then he didn't know how to make that deity leave him again. And so anyways, he ended up dying from that. And so in a way, he was exposed that he, after all, didn't have all these clairvoyant powers.
我真的可弄都加拉毛不动是吧？你弄现加拉，
Mhm,
我想这
mhm,
可变我现都给拉都是，这些可有嘛了？这他们我那
mhm. Yeah, so he would go around and tell people like, oh, this object has some harmful influence, get rid of it, or that object is really harmful, get rid of it. Actually, he was just randomly like making it up, but people were, because people are quite simple, so then they thought, wow, he really knows, it's really amazing, and the people really believed him, but actually he didn't really know what's going on, like what's really going on, like he didn't see anything.
我真的伊那的见面这他根本的弄我说的这些，这你看到这些有啥的？可是呢，你嘛也不讲的，咱把别嘛不长多也嘛的是，也不讲给我嘛这个别长多，这样俺那这怕这啥子几百做这个，总接不着多少，跟接不着我汽车啦，汽车他干的都这接，这是那俺不讲，咱把去长里面查上来这，我真的反正这有啥的，
Mhm.
嗯。
So, but then there's this woman, and she definitely did have some power, and Ruben actually had a personal experience with that. He had a relative, kan Binge brother or Binge said brother. Oh, yeah, it was Ruben's younger brother. Ruben's youngest brother. He was sick, so his cheek was swollen. And then she actually she caused the deity to kind of go into some kind of like silken like cutter, so silken like a shawl, and then she wrapped that around him and did her ritual, and he actually was healed after that.
我这几天呢，咱们泡沫出来开始从我的山呢，泡沫出来是从我的山的，让东咱们出去，在我些重桥点点是我在让他打涨票，出去开些涨票了，我些去重桥去呢，但点点来说，门口嘛过年完都说，但门口过节嘛，那年完都让去让的，年没这样子，让年节什么都会种这事，可多，那好，
啦。
가방 를 넣는 거 이거 내 온도 다시 이상한 거
Yeah, also Pamo Drupa had said if one makes up these kind of a word, it makes up of words, but with a selfish motive, for example, promoting oneself for having clairvoyant powers, then one actually sends oneself to hell, and therefore actually it is an act of lacking compassion even for oneself.
근데 들이 마사 안자미 노르세 추주 들이스 다 노르세 추주 대바당 도바 노르사요 정도 와자들이 장보세 대바당 도바 노르사요 어든 다我在大城这边上，这当开业到这开山到这，到这多把张起的，到这去了那里开的那这多把张，这现在让拉玛那里特把钱那，这让本家让我让出去，你把这说的这样多把张起的，我这就有人多把起的了，我这样呢，去的特把我那有把的，我这你不都有的是我这个的送回啥的吧？
Then we come to the next set of 10. 10 things that are easily mistaken. First, it is possible to mistake desire for devotion. So, for example, if it is desire, it may also look like devotion because it may be directed or kind of be related to one's own Dharma practice. Maybe even one's own Lama, one's own guru that one is devoted to, one actually has faith in. But it may it just may be kind of one-sided of something that one you personally am attached to, or it may be a relative, or just being you're praising you're really praising that teacher, for example, or your own side, and that on the one hand maybe just desire. But then there's also others who have real faith, have real devotion. So the point is that these two may look very similar. So there is a possibility that one can mix them up.
다 지당 대바 세야 되 개베 셈 된 중그레 세바트 지당 예나 좀 여러와 당외 대바스 노베 대바스 이치베 대바스 좀 여러와 어제 요즘에는 당외 대바스에 가르스나 유권쇼 좀 자셈 당원 진의 대바지야들라 당외 대바스 노베 대바스는 다 냠내치 대바지는 뒤 타르와토야 노바나 노베 대바스 어제 예치베 대바스는 렌데 레줌데 예치치 어제 권쇼 좀 예치치 zel은 집에 지 노바스는 예치베 대바스와다 당도 이치 대바스 좀 세워다 세요로가
And so generally, when we're talking about faith, faith or devotion, then so that is the way we recognize it is that faith is generally a virtue. It comes from a virtue state of mind, and there are three kinds of faith. There is the clear faith, the longing faith, and the trusting faith. And the clear faith means that you see the qualities of the three jewels. You have faith. You are inspired by the qualities of the three jewels. And the longing faith is that you want to engage in practice so that you attain liberation. And then the trusting faith is really based in a trust in karma, cause and effect.
真的다 대바데 가르치고 선나다做这치고 그래서 소소제 다 권총 좀 이치我这做也不清气过后这在秋呢这秋呢秋这说秋会明吧苍马唐马讲对吧起我这气过后也是我真的这方面说但是湖南应该这忙这秋路可以呢去不去他有嘛的这苍马那么提个气多个玩意嘛他挺好嘛去去往弄个多나기만 나마 카레나 성어 티바치 제 티바치 초로 카레나 티 치보자스 대원의 요마와 근데 어제 초리 좋지나 전에 도베 티바치 차르거다 초리 마지바 지네 되는 상황을 제 상황다 도바 당외 기능의 지치야 되다 개친 보고 살아와
So for example, so first of all we need for the first one, the clear faith, to develop that faith so that it's real faith and not just attachment, we need to trust in the quality of the three jewels and also have no bias toward any other tradition or lineage. Essentially, we need to have a pure perception. In Tibet, for example, in the old days, there really wasn't much of a difference between the different lineages. People generally would have faith in any lama, just naturally. But nowadays, it's not so sure anymore. And so when we have biases, then actually we no longer have real faith, but it becomes attachment. But if we have no bias, then it becomes the actual clear faith.
이나 다 소소소 냠내 가르치나 저 주바 저 송도 냠내 치나 야요 이나 초로 신바 저 카 당시 저 대도 본도 저 라빈 야호 요 말 소소 녀파 보데 이나 다저 냠내 정말 리미 이제는 진짜 세비한 저 소소소 라 주바 선들이 저 땡이면 더 차도 와 어떻게 이나 초로 정말 당나장 냠내 치좀 토리 로종 치좀 토리 치고래 가시 마토나 소소 주바 대 냠내 치딘 지바래 상제된 바지바래 어떻게 되게 냠내 치 신바 저 당나장 지난번에 대바대하고 접효사례에서
So that being said, of course, it's still better if one practices well one's own lineage, but at the same time, one shouldn't criticize other lineages. Because if you criticize others and you hold biased views, then you create negativity within yourself. But then on the other hand, there's also those who speak about non-sectarianism, and sort of practicing anything. But then we're also losing our own tradition. We're also losing our own lineage. We cannot preserve it properly if you're just like non-sectarian and just practice anything. So the best, of course, is that if you can actually understand and really learn about every tradition, but at least we should try to practice our own tradition well, and at the same time see that we are all the same. All of the different lineages are all the Buddha's teachings. And then if you have this view, you will have a pure perception. If you have a pure perception, then a stable faith arises in you.
我做推切斯的，我觉得他推切斯，讲公出做 remix 那么这个的话，remix 那么的，
This one, I'm control.
公出做等于那么他公，说我们这说嘛不有的，他人家当做这做咱们的这里，当晚做咱们，当晚做这，他后去这就心态上面，当晚上面有的吧，我才咱们的，这个就俺做才咱们的，我听你他这趟他忙不咱们的，听那听那的做的。他人民的拉不个的，拉不个话，咱讲我公出做人民的，自己想三七个的话，因为那做的就把他干嘛个就话，可能干嘛个具体然后你们来去就把送了的。我听着我的，做就把这上面啊，人民的价值到上面去，咱这个学家什么，所以你们来可去那去，最近把这个，当他做讲我公出那一家，咱们这个马拉等于那说他们讲什么，提把他们去，我这里去那，这也我说的吧。
In Tibet, we have this Lama, Chamgyal Kongtrul Rinpoche.
推切斯吧，推切斯吧，你妈的有就吧，切斯。推切斯，你妈有就吧，我妈妈推切斯，其中，你妈，
你妈个推出来？
我没推错嘛，切斯，切斯，这，
哦，这是哦，
这是切斯，那这是吧？
哦，OK，
我公司老家是没送油嘛，反正忙不错。
老家是送油的？
送的老家送了就挺忙不着。
送的老家哎。
老家还是老家。
哦。
那其实还不嘛是样子，但还是老家。
So that is Lama Chamgyal Kongtrul Rinpoche, and he was more of a contemporary, kind of a later Lama, basically a more contemporary Lama. Someone he passed away just about so this Chamgyal Kongtrul we talk about passed away about over 100 years ago already. But anyways, he was considered more of a kind of a modern day Lama, and he's considered like a non-sectarian guru, master, and he actually he composed a lot of compiled a lot of scriptures like the Rinchen Derzu, or the Tamngak Tzu, which is the Treasury of Pith Instructions, and also the Kagyu Ngamtzu. And these are all texts which are actually used by all the different Tibetan lineages, by all the lineages. So for this reason, because they're used by all the lineages, everyone uses the Rinchen Derzu and so on. That's why they call him a non-sectarian Lama. But actually, the lineage that he really belonged to was the Karma Kagyu, and this is really where these compilations came from. But then they were also adopted in other lineages. But it's not that they are totally a non-sectarian, that they did come from his lineage, which he himself was actually a Karma Kagyu lineage holder. And so what's important is that that we have a lineage also that we can hold on to. If we have no lineage, nothing that we can uphold, and we become like totally non-sectarian and everyone just practice whatever they want, we basically become without any kind of connection to kind of a backing, a root or a source. And so that's really important to have. Of course, we can practice whichever lineage we want, but it's still good at the same time to hold on to one's own lineage while sustaining a pure view toward all the others.
어떤 단위파들이 참 단위게 다 착관을 써요. 뭐다 참닝게 다 착관을 넣어요. 상상도 참닝게 공부로 와. 저 참닝게 야고 오나서 초린데 세치도 같이. 초린데 시딘데 착관차를 라초서 차. 라초서 참닝게 야고 공 신초서 디스. 타렌스 다 치디나. 我的참닝게 초리 와. 我这里听女生呢，这样他把是恰过来也是。
And then the second verse says, it is possible to mistake passion for loving kindness and compassion. So there's also a way to mix up love and compassion with attachment. And so that happens when one's love and compassion becomes biased. Then we become attached to our own side. We really like and we are drawn to our own side, but then we are kind of pushing away the other side. We distance ourselves from the other side, and this again then becomes inauthentic love and compassion. So it turns into attachment.
我在这个做嘛，弄个他娘的时间他们去这了，利用的这种他妈平气那说的这说这种这电话多吧，东啊钱多吧。 那现在我嘛希望让自己老百姓讲，大家都是把东啊娘那种，是体育现在在讲的也是确实在强的，也是。
For example, we recite this prayer. I mean, all mother sentient beings, limitless space, may they have happiness, and so on. But then, if anyone does, what we really think is that what we really want is our parents, our relatives, our friends to be happy, and we don't want them to suffer. And then if anyone comes and harms them in any way, then we get angry right away. We are attached to our own side.
我真的，他真的就是西夏那他这上年啊做，对他解码是马罗上了。
Let me stop here for tonight and continue next week.
这里给现几天总共这些。 Yeah, Elizabeth.
Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind, root and lineage lamas, divine assembly of yadams and assemblies of Buddhas, bodhisattvas, heroes and heroines, yogini and assembly of dakinis dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed me. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all sentient beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise within my mind. May thoughts of fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. Even at death, may the torment of suffering not arise. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such, and in the pervasive clarity of Dharmata. May I in any case gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo.
Yeah, okay, thank you, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lama Rinpoche.
Thank you. Yeah, good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jupan, thank you, Ina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ina.
Mm.
Bye, everyone.